So yesterday you should have started on your background of your currency. And if you didn't finish your background, that's the first thing you need to do today. Just a reminder, the things that you have to include in your background. You have to include at least 4 different images in your background. You have to play with overlapping, and you have to make at least one of those images transparent in some way. So here's how I did mine. I have 5 images. I played with transparency on my background image, and I'm going to show you how to do that one more time. Just a reminder, if you click on the image and you go to Format Options at the top right here, and then you go to Adjustments, and then you go to Transparency, and if you slide that back and forth, see how that changes the transparency of the image. Okay, so put that back to how I had it before. Okay, so then you had to add at least 3 other things. I have 4. They are overlapping, meaning I have one in front of the other, and I kind of labeled what they are for you so that you could see. All right, so now we are ready to move on to step 3 today. So step 3 is to include your country's leader somewhere on your bill. Now, you have to include at least one image of your country's leader. Consider using overlapping and consider using transparency. Along with your country's leader, would you like to include another important person in your country's history? Okay, so for our example right here, we have the United States. Okay, so here's a picture of Joe Biden. But other people that you could use, for example, that would be prominent people in our history would be like Martin Luther King Jr., Benjamin Franklin, Neil Armstrong, etc. People who have made an impact on the history of the United States. So let's take a look at what I did, and I'm going to show you how I did it. All right. So I chose to put the French president onto my currency twice, and I kind of put it on the other side so that it kind of had equal distribution of weight on either side of my currency. And what I mean by weight is that there's images over here and there's images over here, so it's not all heavy on one side. Okay, so the first one I did is this background figure, and I want to show you how I did that. Okay, so what I did is I found this picture of him from the internet, and it looked like this. All right, it was his profile photo that I found of him from the internet. And I wanted to play around with it a little bit. I honestly thought I was going to leave it in color, but then I started playing with it and I liked the way that it turned out. So what I did is I went to Format Options and I went to Contrast, and I was playing around with the contrast of it. Okay. And I started going lighter, and then I started going dark, and I went, that's kind of interesting because it's kind of like a shadow or a silhouette. And then I just made it kind of a little transparent so that it fit into my background. All right, so I'm going to show you one more time how I did that. So I found an image of the French president on the internet that I copy and pasted into my currency. Then I went to Format Options, and I went to Contrast, and I moved the contrast all the way down so that it almost created this silhouette. Okay, now you could leave that solid, or you could even go up to Recolor and change it so it's darker. Okay, but I decided to make it transparent a little bit so that it kind of just blended in more with the background. Okay, so that's the first thing that I did. And you can see that he's back here. And then I found another image that I wanted to use, and I inserted it on top. So once again, you can insert images one of 2 ways. You can go to Google. You can type in the thing that you're looking for. You can go to images and you can copy and paste an image, all right? Or you can go up to insert, image, search the web, and then you can search for things that way, okay? Now, remember, you wanna add the word clip art to the end of it so that you get this transparent background. Or maybe you wanna put an image in there that doesn't have a transparent background. It's totally up to you, okay? But once again, think about playing with overlapping, think about playing with the silhouette. And that's the first step that you're gonna do today. So number one, you need to finish your background. Number two, you need to complete step 3, which is inserting the leader of your country somewhere on your currency. Okay, and then we're gonna do step 4 today. So step 4 is to ensure your country's name and other text. Okay, there are 2 things that are typically included on currency, and I wanted to show you an example of that from a United States bill. Your country's name is typically included somewhere on there, right? So as you can see on the back of this bill, the United States of America, and then consider adding a slogan or other text that would make sense to your country. I'm going to change that to the motto. Okay, so "In God We Trust" is right here. "In God We Trust" was first added to the US currency back during the Civil War. It is deemed the official motto of the United States of America. Okay, so I'm going to insert 2 things onto mine. I'm going to insert France, and I'm going to insert the French motto. Okay, so this is the French motto, and I found it just by going to Google, and I typed in French motto, and it came up. All right, and then I even just typed in French motto clip art, and that's how I was able to find my image. Okay, so you can see it right here, right here. Okay, so I inserted that, and I want to show you what I did there. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, I had put this picture of the president of France on there first. So when I added this French motto, I wanted to have it behind him. So if you want to change the order of the way things are placed on your project, so say instead of this being in front of the president, which is where it would be if I had put that on there today, you can go to arrange, order, send backwards, send forward. So if I send it forward, see how now it goes in front of him? So I'm going to go to arrange again, order, send backward, and see how now that goes behind him. Okay, then the last thing I did is I inserted the country name. So here's France, and I wanted that in front, really big. So there it is. And once again, go to insert image, search the web, France, word, clip art. And you see all these. And once again, just to insert them, you just click on, so say I wanted this one, you click insert, and there you go. Okay. All right, so the things you need to do today: finish your background, make sure you have at least 4 pictures, make sure you have overlapping, make sure you've used transparency at least once. Step 3, add your country's leader somewhere. You have to have at least 1 picture. I included 2 just so that I can fill up the space and make the weight distributed a little bit better. Think about using transparency. You think about using overlapping. And then step 4, you need to include your country's name. You need to include your country's motto. So here's my country's motto. Here's my country's name. Okay, we are not done yet. Okay, we are not done yet. We will finish it up tomorrow, and then Friday will be a catch-up day where you will have time to go back and fix anything you need to on both of the remote projects before you get them turned in. So if you don't get this far today, don't stress. If you don't have it exactly the way you want, don't stress, because we will have more time later this week. Once again, if you have any questions, please just comment in the Google Classroom. And remember, do not turn it in yet, because once you submit it, you cannot edit it anymore.